So today we are working on some wiring issues. Should rephrase that, not really wiring issues. We're fixing some things that I didn't know I needed. So this is all my cruise control. I know it says fuel, but that's not really fuel, it's cruise control. So one of these is my diagnostic button. So you push that and it like flashes check engine light, and it's pretty much useless. I shouldn't have put that button in. This one's my high idle button. So you push that one and it's supposed to go vroom vroom. Cruise control on off switch, and then this is your set, resume, excel button. I've never been able to get, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. So cruise control, fast idle, none of this has ever worked since I finished this project. You push the button and it does nothing, and then you push like cruise control and nothing happens, and then like eventually the check engine light will start flashing if you push enough buttons. It gets really upset at you for some reason. I figured it out last night. I never hooked up the neutral switch. So it's got a an input on the ECU, and when the vehicle is in neutral, it sends 12 volt positive to that pin, and that's what tells the ECU that the transmission is in neutral. It has to be in neutral in order for you to use the high idle button and to adjust the idle. You know, you can sit in here, you can turn the cruise control on and idle it up to like 1,000. I feel like you should be able to go higher than 1,000, but that's all I have. I never hooked up. There's two different brake switches going into the computer, and I think like the vehicle manufacturer can pick which one they want and then program it to that one. I used the 12 volt positive input because that's what my brakes use. You know, you push the brake pedal and it sends 12 volts to the brake lights. So I tied that one in. That is not the one that is currently programmed in the truck. So I'm gonna have to run a set of wires up to the brake switch, which I can't remember if those clips got lost or not, but I had to replace the brake switch. For whatever reason, the old brake switch like didn't engage until you were slamming on the brakes before the brake lights came on. So I got a new brake switch out of a newer vehicle, and it came with like normally open, normally closed, and like all sorts of different, came with like 6 wires poking out of it. So I'm gonna be able to use the other set because the other input on the computer is negative. So when you push the brake pedal, it sends ground to that pin and tells the computer that you're pushing the brakes. So we're gonna have to run some wires up here for that. And cruise control has never worked when you're in gear either, and that's because it's got a minimum and a maximum speed setting. So you can only engage the cruise when you're doing, I don't know, 30 miles an hour or whatever it's set to. So I'm going to have to, there is a speed sensor right there on the back of the transmission. Again, I don't remember if I lost these clips or not. I thought that was my reverse pressure switch, and so I had everything hooked up to that, and then my reverse lights never worked, and then I realized that that's a speed sensor, not a reverse pressure switch. So it probably was kind of cool. When I was driving down the road, it would probably kick them on and off. They'd sit there and flash, you know. So I do have the reverse lights hooked up now. The pressure switch is on the other side of the transmission, but I'm gonna have to run a set of wires back to that speed sensor and hook that into the computer. That way it can tell when I'm moving, and when I get over a certain speed, it'll let me turn the cruise on, which will be awesome. Real cool. I put 120 miles on this last weekend, around 120 miles. Oh, I got a fuel leak. What the heck is that all about? And the truck did awesome. It just would have been really cool to have cruise control. Not that you really need it. You just put the pedal to the floor when you're on the highway. Alright, this is going to be fun because it's hard to get to the computer. It's hard to count pins to see what pin I got to plug into. So this is going to be a fun process. But I did test it last night. I put power to the neutral safety switch pin, and I was able to engage the high idle and use the cruise control it was parked. So I just got to figure out a way to use my neutral switch so that it tells the computer when we're in neutral, and it also allows me to start it when it's only in neutral. So I'm gonna get working on that, and I'll update you in a minute. Alright, guys, so I think I have everything hooked up to a point where it should start, and everything should work. So during this clip here, I had the transfer case in neutral for testing purposes, so I could make sure that the cruise control was working. And I didn't realize this at the time, but the transmission in neutral, the drive shaft will kind of spin a little bit. And so every time I hit the high idle, the engine would rev up and the drive shaft would spin just a little bit, which would kick the high idle back out because the speed sensor was hooked up, and that's the way the whole system is designed. So I think I get frustrated here and throw the camera down. But the high idle and cruise control are both now working, and they work good. So everything's good to go now. It's good to finally have both of those working. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and leave your hate mail, whatever. Thank you, bye.